Hey, Alexus Love Beauties and Flawless Men. Today we're going to speak about two things that barely gets clean on the stove, and it's going to be the stove plates. These accumulate so much food and rust and dirt, and sometimes it's just hard to get these clean. The way you take them off is you have to make sure your eye is off, and then you'll just pull off the eye itself, and then you can go ahead and take the plate off, and then you can just clean these. If they are really, really dirty, I just recommend getting some new ones. So that's what I had to do. I had to just grab some new ones. I got these for like $8 at the dollar store. Also, when you're shopping for plates, make sure that you know the size of your eyes, because I have two big ones, two small ones, but really my stove has three small ones and one big one. So that's okay, but just make sure you know the size of your eyes. And like I said, if they're really bad, just go ahead and buy some new plates. As you can see, I'm going to clean mine just to keep up with them. Also, these little pieces on the stove, these are your knobs. When you're taking off the knobs, you want to do that in a very safe fashion, because you do not want to turn the stove on, especially not having that eye there or that plate there. That could be dangerous. So I will show you how to, pull these off of the stove, but your eyes do come off. Eyes tend to have a lot of food back here. You're twisting and turning all day long, grease is popping. So when I learned how to safely remove these from the stove, I do clean these as well. And there is a way how to put them back on your stove, because you see it don't have any labels. So on your stove, you would just have to know where it comes from. Now I know this one is my oven one, just based on how it's made. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these and wash these off. And then I'll show you how to put this on and take it off. Give me just a second. Mwah. Okay, so as you can see, this back piece used to be really, really nice. But one day I got all crazy because I seen some grease back there, and I actually scratched it all up. Excuse me. It's not necessary to do that if it's not dirty like that, because this literally was not dirty like that. But hey, this is my mess up here. If you do have grease on your back part, all you have to do is get some grease or some type of dish soap, like a stain remover or something like that. If you do need to use a scrub pad, then get a softer scrub pad so the back of yours will not look like this. Also, just go ahead and clean the top part of your stove. And then you can lift this piece up and you can clean underneath the stove. It has so much, this part of the stove gets so dirty, right? Some parts may not be able to come up, that's fine. But for the most part, go ahead and clean there. If you can, go ahead and clean the top part. Now, remember, you have all of these wires and you do not want to get anything wet. So what you're going to do is, if you have to clean under here and around things like this, it's not that you're saturating anything. You're using a towel or something that's really damp to where you can clean it and still be safe, because you do have to put the pieces of your stove back together. So you want to do that safely. So when I'm wiping around here, I'm not even like, of course I have to wipe right here, but nothing. I never use a wet towel right here at all. It's simple just to clean around here. So do not oversaturate your towel when you're cleaning your stove. I do not know what this is. I think this is where like smoke or something come from, or fire or whatever. These are the things that you want to be safe of, that you do not want to get any water in this piece or these pieces here or underneath those wires. And it's simple just to clean. Just take a damp towel, get you some soap. I usually start with some soap and a towel, and I'll put it in the center and then just wash around everything like this. So I usually just clean like that. Go ahead and clean all here. Make sure you clean in this area back here. And then you can just wipe this down. Now I'm going to show you how to put the eye on and take the eye off. When the eye is off, as you can see, mine is made like this. So if it's on, this piece would go either which way. So I know my stove is off because I have this light and the light is off. Make sure your stove is off before you attempt to do any of this cleaning. Make sure the stove is off. So this is one of my pieces here, and it is kind of still damp. Whoops. Make sure to dry this off before you put this back on the stove. I don't even dry these things off. I usually let them dry for like a day. I recommend you let these things dry for a day. When you take pieces off the stove like a knob or any of the plates or any of the eyes and you clean them, let them dry for a day. Leave this part up and let that area under there air dry for at least 24 hours. So here is the stove. And these pieces literally just push on and push off, right? Now, I can't turn this on because I don't have any plates anywhere. But when you're taking it off, you just want to make sure that everything is off so it's lined up. And then you just want to pull it straight off. That's how easy these come off and go on. If you do have a little tougher time, like I said, just be sure that everything is still off while you're attempting to do that. I recommend to take the knobs off first before you even take any of the plates off. How you put your plates on, make sure everything is clean, everything is dry. Definitely make sure your plate is dry. And you're going to line this up right here. Then, if you would prefer to wash this, make sure to wash this and let this dry for 24 hours. Again, this is not an area that you would want to get wet because this does have to go back into the stove where I showed you those wires underneath. So make sure everything is dry. I recommend to not even put anything together. If you have to take this a piece to clean it, let it dry. The way I clean the top part, I only clean this part and I'll still use like a little bit of soap and not that much, like literally from a damp towel or like sometimes I use a paper towel. It depends on how greasy this part may be. For the most part, I keep mine clean so I could just go over it with the towel. I recommend like every time you cook to just clean this off and the plate, and then that way you don't have to worry about so much buildup. If this does have extreme buildup, I would recommend just buying new ones, maybe from Amazon if you can. If not, then go ahead and safely remove it and then clean it and let it dry. Still avoid getting the bottom part wet. I'm going to put this in and show you, and then I'm going to show you how to take it out. That's literally it. So you may have like a loop here so you'll know it's in place. Now to take these out, and that goes for all of them on the stove, you'll literally just pull them up. To put them back in, you'll make sure everything is lined up, and it's no wrong or right way, and that's it. So everything is connected. Like I said, when you are removing anything from your stove, you have a lot of wires or you have things that may produce heat or whatever have you. Make sure that you keep these pieces down first. Take your knobs off safely. Make sure everything is off. And then you can go forth to pull out your plate. Go ahead and clean around here. It doesn't have to be super saturated. Dry that off with paper towel. And go ahead and do, clean everything. Let everything air dry for 24 hours. When you put everything back together, make sure it's lined up. Make sure you're doing everything safe. And just be safe. I recommend to not even do any cleaning like this if you're not over that.